Hello, and welcome to today's SEI's webcast, Software Excellence through the Agile High Velocity Development Process. My name is Julia Mullaney, and I am the chair of the Watts Humphrey Software Quality Award. This award is co-sponsored by the Software Engineering Institute and the IEEE Computer Society. Today's webinar features the winner of the 2023 award, ISHPI Information Technology. The award recognizes outstanding improvements in an organization's ability to create and evolve high-quality software-dependent systems. To win the Humphrey Award, the improvements must be, to an exceptional degree, significant, measured, sustained, and shared. And I'm confident that after you see this webinar today, you'll see why ISHPI was this year's award winner. We want to make this webcast today as interactive as possible, so feel free to submit your questions in the YouTube chat area, and we'll address those questions at the end of the webinar. Our featured speakers today are Stephen Shook and Barty Perini. Stephen is ISHPI's Vice President of Software Engineering and Quality. He brings more than 25 years of experience in senior management, business development, development management, project management, software engineering, and implementing the CMMI. Barty Perini is ISHPI's Vice President of Software Process Improvement. She brings over 25 years of experience in software engineering, software development process improvement, project management, and CMMI and ISO implementation. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Stephen and Barty today. Barty?
Thank you, Julia, for your kind words. We are indeed honored to receive the Software Quality Award. Not only is this an outstanding achievement for ISHPI, but it's also an incredible validation for us, the practitioners. Welcome to all the attendees and thank you for joining us today. We are happy to share our success, or we are happy to share our process improvement journey to achieve software excellence through our agile high velocity development process. So we want to share who we are so that it helps to better understand why we do what we do. Then we will discuss what is high velocity development, how is it executed, and the key differentiators. Then we will touch upon the key techniques that we frequently use, the quantitative techniques. That's a vast topic, but we will touch some key techniques that we frequently use. Then we will share a subset of our key results and customer benefits here. And then we will conclude with our key tangible and intangible insights. So we are ISHPI Information Technologies Incorporated, ISHPI, DBA ISHPI. We are US federal government contractors supporting or providing IT, cybersecurity, engineering, software development, modernization, maintenance, and sustainment services to the Department of Service, to the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, and other federal agencies. ISHPI AIS Division consists of projects over which we have management control over the execution of the project and its processes. So our business objective is to continuously advance the boundaries of quality and security to delight our customers. In fact, that is the objective of entire ISHPI. So quality and security are our drivers because we realize that defective software is inherently insecure. And delivering work products right the first time saves time by preventing rework, and that makes us more predictable. Bottom line is that quality work minimizes effort, minimizes the schedule, and overall cost to our customers. We would like to take few minutes to talk about Watts Humphrey's influence on us. He is, as you may know, he is the father of, he's known as the father of software quality. He has been a great inspiration and guiding light to all of us. I remember his visits to Peoria, Illinois office, which is no easy task as you have to get down in Chicago and it's 3 more hours drive from there. His visits used to generate so much energy and enthusiasm. I remember our project managers printing out data, going into conference room, discussing with him, and he would suggest various process improvements, and he would also remember to follow up previous action items. In short, he was our guru. Therefore, this presentation is our homage to him. So what is high velocity development? High velocity development is comprised of several standards, processes and frameworks that emphasizes quality and excellence. So PSP is personal software process, which is used at the individual level. So here PSP is the method for individuals to estimate, plan, make commitments, and also to plan and manage quality. And they also use feedback loop to continuously improve. And the underlying thing for all that is that it is based on data. As we move through the presentation, you will see that those aspects coming through. Then we have the team software process at the team level. It is a similar concept to the PSP, but at the team level. We leverage the personal data collected and move it to the team level. And the team and the launch is the hallmark of the team software process. Then we have our CMMI or capability maturity model integration, which is a framework of best practices. And then we also have ISO standards. Basically, it's an auditing. They audit our systems and it's a pass or a fail. ISO 20000-1 is very similar. Just for context, it is very similar to CMMI for services. So AIS division cannot operate at its maximum efficiency in a vacuum. It is so ably supported by our ISHPI corporate through all these other certifications. ISO 9001 Certified Quality Management System, ISO 20000-1, which is an information security system, and then CMMC, which is Cybersecurity Maturity Model certification. So you might have this question, are all these standards and frameworks necessary to achieve software excellence? And my answer would be, it depends. It depends on your business and it depends on your business objectives. But for us, these are necessary and these are our business objectives and we are very happy that we have achieved them. And also, all these certifications and appraisals have led to a culture of continuous improvement at ISHPI. So one of the reasons is anyone who has undergone these audits and appraisals, they're pretty intense. They can relate that these are huge opportunities to learn best practices. So for us, it makes sense. And for us, these are all complementary. So whenever we are ready to start a new, achieve a certification, what we do is we do gap analysis and try to leverage the processes that we already have. For example, ISO 9001 has risk and opportunity management areas that we can actually leverage it through all the other certifications and standards. That's how we can make it seamless and more effective. So bottom line is, for our practitioners, our developers, project managers, it is a seamless blend of processes, which we call as the high velocity development practices. So continuing about the high velocity development, we have repeatedly been appraised as CMMI level 5 over the past 15 years. So last 6 appraisals, we have undergone 6 appraisals where we have been appraised at maturity level 5. So level 5 indicates that the organization is performing at an optimizing level. So it means that the organization is continuously improving its processes and it is based on a quantitative understanding of its business objectives and performance. So we are driven by our appraisers and auditors to continuously be lean and agile without sacrificing the discipline of CMMI practices. And also as we have seen, we are contractors to federal government. So every contract we get can be a different project in a very different development environment. So we have to be flexible and highly tailorable to meet the different contract. It could be like a 2-member team versus 20-member teams. We may have to satisfy healthcare standards versus Coast Guard standards and various project requirements. So that is why it is so important for us to be highly tailorable, and our persistent focus on quality produces secure software. For example, all our practices ensure that the security is built in from day one. From requirements, we gather our security requirements till the end. It is not just built in at the time of testing. And we have to be tools and technology agnostic because of the varying development environments and different customers. So in a nutshell, high velocity development, it is not prescriptive, it is not one size fits all, it is definitely not bureaucratic, we cannot afford that. And I want to show that this is not just a methodology. So why we say that this is more than a methodology? Let me show you this picture. Here, high velocity development, we think of it as a toolbox, and it comprises of all these different elements. For example, our ISHPI process asset library, which we call IPAL, has all the policies, processes, standards, templates. And then we have all this built-in historical data. When you see our results, we have data from 1988. And we also have a capability data. What is our defect density per KLOC? How often have we met our commitments? And what is our first time right data? All that is included there. Then we focus a lot on secure practices. We encourage our team members to get the latest industry certifications. For example, Security Plus is one of them. And we encourage our team members to update checklists to look at OVAs for the top 25 vulnerabilities, how we want to take care of those. And then, as I mentioned, that culture of continuous improvement that permeates whole ISHPI, which is a big factor. Even though it is intangible, it is a big factor. And then we have in a toolbox various trainings that we have. If required, we can go through complete requirements engineering. For example, if we are doing a requirements development heavy focused project, we can have training for that, inspections, high velocity development training. And then most importantly, there are two supports, management support and software center of excellence support. So Software Center of Excellence support is in terms of QA oversight, which is quality assurance oversight, configuration management oversight, ensuring that coaching and mentoring is happening consistently, and ensuring that team members are given the training that is needed for them to do their job well. And management support is throughout. It is the underlying factor to ensure that they are the ones to make sure that proper coaching and mentoring is happening, and they also ensure that they recognize what training these team members need to get, and also to see that the practices are effective in the project. So as I mentioned that the launch process is, let's look at the planning. I think this is the special or heart of high velocity development, which is the launch process is part of the team software process. So the launch process typically happens quarterly, depending on the project needs, of course, and typically it is for multiple increments together. And for it to be most efficient and effective, it needs to be led by a qualified team coach. So the objective of the launch process is to get these deliverables. So what are these deliverables? So all the team members are look at the business needs of the customer. What are ISHPI management goals? What are the product requirements and priorities? And they decide what they need to do. What are the work products that they need to develop, and what should be their goals to evaluate themselves to ensure that they meet customer goals. And then once they have their what, they go to the how. How do we accomplish this? So they have the freedom to select their development strategy, and they can tailor the process. And using the historical data of size and effort, they come up with a schedule plan and a task plan, and we assign the resources. And there is a notion, or another key thing about team software process is team roles, so that the project manager is not overburdened. For example, we have quality manager role and a process manager role, so that they can look at that aspect of the project to help the project manager and the team. And then how well are we doing? So we set quality goals. For example, a team may say, we want to deliver first time right above 95% of the time, or we want to achieve less than 1 defect per KLOC. So they plan their quality and track it. And then the what if, we go through risk and opportunity management, create a risk plan, mitigation plan, and after all these things, if we still don't meet customers' goals, we go back and create alternate plans. So we continue this until we meet customer, we have a commitment with the customer. So one of the focal points, as you saw in the launch process, is that tailoring of practices. So here again in the diagram, as you can see on the top are all the inputs that you need to look at: customer needs, constraints, the project attributes. Here we talk about the project attributes such as it could be a simple proof of concept versus software in a medical device, right? The criticality is different. That is one of the attributes. So with the support of the launch processes that we have, management guidance, and of course, a qualified coach, we can select our elements. So for example, we may not need integration tests for a certain project. So we need not include that element. And then another one is, how do we tailor an element itself? So for example, peer review is an element, but you can tailor peer review. For example, we can go to full-blown inspection versus an informal peer review. So this is our tailoring practices. And based on that, you can use HVD for a small factory versus a huge factory. So this is just an example: small work products versus a huge work product. And then these tailoring practices are reviewed by the Project Software Center of Excellence QA representative to ensure that quality and security are not missed, that they have been included. We don't want the teams to just remove peer reviews because they want to meet the schedule, right? So the QA looks at all mandatory tasks, all mandatory tasks are included. So at a high level, we talked about the team launch process, and as I mentioned, it is done quarterly and for multiple increments, and these are the multiple increments. I don't want to spend too much time on the execution because that is very simple, very similar to other projects. But the key aspect of high velocity development is disciplined self-managed team. So what do we mean by a self-managed team? So we have put the whole team together in this launch process, and we have allowed them to come up with a strategy, their own tailored process. So now this team, they own the process and the development strategy, and together they have made a commitment to the customer. And this is based off historical data, not from thin air. Basically, it is their plan. It is not a project manager or program manager's plan. It is the team's plan. That is the difference in this high velocity development execution. I just want to share one. This is the example of performance metrics of one of the projects. So this is what they come up during the launch. So, for example, this team has said that on-time releases is important to them. So that is one of the performance metrics, and they want to be 100% of the time ahead or on schedule to deliver it to user acceptance test. So, and they track notes, and this data is reviewed during the team status meetings approximately once in 2 weeks. And this evaluation of the metrics ensures that we are on track to meet our customers' acceptable quality limits at a minimum. So this is a wonderful example of how the team manages using data. So the role of the ISHPI Software Center of Excellence. Here, I lead the Software Center of Excellence, and I bring in additional team members as the need arises. And here it is important to mention that the Center of Excellence consists of QA and CM guidance, that these goals of QA and CM are aligned with the project. So it is important that the QA and CM, we find issues early, and we are highly collaborative with the project managers and the team so that we can iron out issues as early as possible rather than at the time of the delivery. So as you can see, we are not looking at how many deviations or non-compliance. Basically, we want to have zero non-compliances, and we work very hard to keep it that way. So another aspect of Software Center of Excellence is giving leadership to the organization for optimizing, or because we are in that optimizing maturity level place. So they analyze and gauge performance with respect again to the business objectives. And then because the Software Center of Excellence team members, they have insight to each project, how they are doing, we can leverage lessons learned from this project across the organization. And it is the responsibility to evaluate new technologies, pilot them, and then disseminate it to the entire organization. So here it brings back our feedback cycle and process improvement proposal, which we think is another key factor for HVD. Here in the diagram, you can see that these are factories or projects that are completing and spitting out work products. And then another important thing they are doing is we are able to see what is their capability, what is their performance, and they're also giving out a lot of project data. So all those things are going back into a toolbox, into the organization, that data. And again, innovations, lessons learned, process improvements, they're all going back to the toolbox to be used in the next project. So some of the things that go into this toolbox are these process improvement proposals. So the key triggers of this are retrospectives or causal analysis that we conduct for an awesome positive outcome or a negative outcome that we may want to improve. So SCPG receives those PIPs and evaluates them based on, okay, how does it add value to our customer? Does it improve quality, reduce risk, reduce schedule? And then they are implemented. So since these PIPs are written, identified, and accepted by practitioners themselves, typically it is a seamless integration with the projects, and these are easily institutionalized rather than something coming from top down. So next, Steve will present some of the key differentiators of high velocity development.
Thank you, Bartine. I'd like to highlight some of the key differences between traditional Agile implementations, such as Scrum, and how we have implemented Agile practices in high velocity development. Of course, there's many similarities, and we don't have time to go into every aspect in depth, but I'd like to highlight a few of the key differences. So what I'd like to focus on is frequency of delivery, for example. With traditional Agile Scrum implementations, we have time box sprints that are typically of 2 to 4 weeks. With high velocity development, it's also highly iterative, but not necessarily time boxed. Instead, it's driven by the team strategy, and there's no concern about planning multiple iterations to make a longer-term commitment, which our customers often still demand. And so the benefit there is that the team has the flexibility to formulate the most efficient development approach to meet the customer needs. As another example, empowering individuals. In traditional Agile Scrum implementations, the principle is to support motivated individuals, for example, through a Scrum Master. In Agile High Velocity Development, we emphasize training and mentoring beyond just the engineering role, and also developing skills like in estimation and quality management, primarily through coaching. Next, I'd like to highlight the measuring process and also project pace. So with Agile and Scrum, the principle is a focus on working software and to maintain a consistent pace. Again, typically with the time box sprints, typically 2 to 4 weeks. With Agile High Velocity Development, we focus on our data to ensure that we're on track to delivering all required work products on schedule. Similarly, with high velocity development, it's also highly iterative, but we focus on maintaining a steady earned value progress. It's equivalent to burn rate, you could think, and that we're following our plan driven by empirical data that demonstrates the team's capabilities and our productivity. So the team uses a launch to plan the detailed iterations and also to plan higher level commitments for longer term releases. So the benefits there are that we have on-time delivery of working software without accumulating lots of technical debt, and also that teams consistently meet aggressive but realistic commitments. And then I like to highlight simplicity. The principle is to maximize the amount of work not done. With Agile High Velocity Development, we focus on tasks and work products that add value and executing those activities as efficiently as possible, especially by completing them right the first time and preventing rework. So the benefit there is the cost savings for us and our customers by preventing all the effort that we would have had to have expended in that rework. And then the approach to improvement. Again, traditional Agile Scrum principle is periodic reflection and adjustment through retrospectives. So with Agile High Velocity Development, we have that as well, but we extend it, also performing increment retrospectives, but individual team members also perform personal retrospectives at the end of each developed component. And we focus on continuous improvement at the organization level as well. And one of the main differences is that with high velocity development, we really focus on the data to objectively understand how we did and to give us the insight into where we should be focusing on improving. And so the benefit there is using our proven practices that have been fine-tuned over a very long period of time, in our case, even decades. So then by now you can begin to understand that there are some overarching aspects to high velocity development. And one of those keys is being data-driven. We really focus on leveraging data to give us great visibility into the status of our activities and to give us an objective understanding of our performance and our capability, in part through the use of statistics, which I'll be discussing more in just a moment. So the benefit there is that teams consistently meet their commitments. And then the other real hallmark of our high velocity development focus is built-in quality. We really focus on integrating quality steps throughout our process to remove defects as early as possible in the process when they have the least cost impact, or even better, to prevent them altogether. So of course, we do that through walkthroughs and personal reviews and peer reviews and multiple layers of testing, such as unit testing and system testing, and then quantitative monitoring of our quality levels by instrumenting our whole life cycle, not just the later test phases. So the benefit there is that we have secure working software that's right the first time at the lowest cost. So next, I'd like to highlight some of the quantitative techniques that we apply throughout our high velocity development practices. As the image on the right shows, we collect data at the individual, project team, and organization levels. Individual team members collect data throughout the performance of their work, and every week individuals make data available to the project team for them to analyze and understand. Individuals and team members analyze that data, for example, during status meetings and during retrospectives. And then at specific milestones, for example, retrospectives, project teams submit their data to the SCPG, and then it becomes included in the organization level repository. So then when individuals and teams need to make commitments for future work, they're able to draw upon their own historical data or at higher level data to make accurate estimates and plans. So all of this boils down to, the four fundamental measures that we track throughout our process. It comes down to size, effort, schedule, and defects. Now, we apply statistical techniques at all levels, but most importantly, statistics are applied by individual team members and by the project team. SCPG does provide guidance and support, and SCPG analyzes data across projects to understand our overall organization capability. But in the end, statistical techniques provide us a deep understanding of our capabilities with a focus on business value. Now, these statistical techniques, this alone is a large topic, and I did a presentation to the Software Excellence Alliance back in February of 2023, but I'll give just a quick summary of the techniques. So first, we apply an object or component size database, and we also use histograms. That object or component size database is the little database in the figure on the previous slide that we were showing. And we use that to understand the actual sizes of work that we have performed in the past in order to estimate the future planned components. We use this during planning to estimate more accurately. And we use this to calculate what are called the t-shirt sizes empirically, whether a given chunk of work might be small or large or medium or very large. We also use histograms to understand and visualize the distribution of data sets and understand their similarities and differences. And we can use that at any point in our process for any data set. We also apply linear regression, prediction intervals, and process performance models. We use linear regression to understand the correlation between two data sets. And we extend linear regression to prediction intervals, particularly when we're doing planning and making commitments, to adjust raw estimates to correct for estimation bias and analyze the range of expected results around that adjusted estimate. So we understand not only the adjusted estimate, but also an upper prediction interval and a lower prediction interval around that. And that allows us to understand what level of risk we're really taking on when we're making a commitment, and we can adjust those control parameters appropriately depending on what we want to take on. We apply these practices to individual project increment commitments, or sometimes when we estimate whole projects end to end. And then control charts. We use control charts to monitor performance of our most important processes. We use them to ensure that they're behaving naturally or predictably. We use them to understand our process's overall capability. And when I say capability, what I mean is the mean of the performance and also the variation around that mean, and to understand how that capability has evolved over time. We monitor for failed tests, which would indicate to us some sort of a signal that needs to be investigated. It might be a good thing that happened, or it might be a bad thing that happened, or it may make no difference at all, but it's something unnatural or unusual that we need to understand further to understand whether we need to take any corrective action. So some examples of the most common ways that we apply control charts are during component estimation for us to monitor our effort estimation error, and during peer reviews to monitor preparation rate of our peer reviews and the resulting defect density of the defects that we're finding during those peer reviews to make sure that we're within the limits that we normally would expect to see. Now, as Barty mentioned, the SCPG analyzes the organization data prior to each project and process status review, which we typically conduct once or twice a year. These activities help to guide the SCPG in decisions and actions that we need to be taking at the organization level to meet ISHPI business objectives. We analyze assignable causes and common causes of process behavior, and we implement targeted process improvements in order to account for anything that might be amiss. And the SCPG adds value to the overall enterprise by publishing our process capability baselines within the organization and produces updated organization goals as well. Next, Bharti is going to discuss our results and some of the customer benefits we've experienced through our use of high velocity development.
So some of the customer benefits of HVD we have laid out here. So first of all, what is the benefit of a capability maturity level 5 rating to our customer? So if you look at this graph here, you can see that the risk is going down as the maturity level increases. So what is this risk? Risk is to throwing scope overboard or going above budget or not meeting the schedule or delivering poor quality and therefore insecure solutions. So therefore the risk is to all these, and as you see clear cut, the data shows that risk decreases as the maturity level increases. At the same time, we see that the cost to customer and for investment, it increases up to a certain level, but after level 2, it substantially decreases. And because by delivering solutions right the first time, we save so much time on rework, and also because we are less unpredictable, and also the reduction to the total cost or to the customer is due to the low maintenance cost due to the low maintenance cost to the customer, because we don't have rework. They can use that budget to add more features rather than to just keep on doing rework of defects. And also the low cost is due to utilizing our ISHPI process asset library, because all those resources are available on SharePoint, and that enables rapid startup for our customers. And I forgot to mention that all this data is across various technologies, customers, functionalities, development environments. So here for the schedule, you can see that the main thing is the improvement is significant. It is measured from 1988 onwards, and it has sustained results. So if you see, we have started plotting this in 1988, and then this is a process improvement journey, and you can see how with each process improvement, our schedule deviation has reduced more and more. So finally, after the implementation of high velocity development in 2005, mid 2005, you see that consistently we have been delivering ahead of schedule. The deviation is not positive, it is negative 2.8%. And I want to mention that this some may say that yes, in Agile you can deliver, you can be on schedule, but you throw overboard the committed scope. But we track committed scope also, and all these deliveries were made on time and ahead of schedule with 100% of the committed scope. And I would like to share one more chart here about quality improvements. Again, you can see that this is significant change measured and sustained, because we have plotted from 1996. And you can see that after we started implementing more Agile with high velocity development, our defect densities have decreased to 0.15 defects per KLOC. And as you can see, these dots here, these are the projects that have delivered to the customer with zero acceptance test defects over an entire year or the contract. So again, this is across so many technologies, development environment, different customers. So what does it mean? Like if we deliver something to our customers and there are no defects, it means that It leads to, again, predictable schedule. Bad quality introduces so much unpredictability and so much insecure code. So this quality ensures that we have a predictable schedule, and also it yields significant cost savings for our customers, because when they don't spend the time on acceptance testing, they can use that budget to add some other feature for the product. And again, another thing that we track, because this is more in time, or rather timely for the team to evaluate, is first time right. So what it means is number of changes or JIRA items or red mines or whatever we deliver to the customer with no acceptance test defects. So first time right is you deliver 5 support requests and all 5 did not have any rework. So here you can see the green is the total support requests that were put in acceptance test, and the orange dotted line is the first time right. So see that those two are following close almost all the time, except for a couple of places where this is the red line, which is JIRAs or support requests that were resolved with rework. So till now, from 2016, we have delivered the agreed scope right the first time over 95% of the time. And again, what does it mean if we have good quality? It means that predictable schedule, and that's why you can see that we have negative 2.8% schedule deviation. And again, it boils down to cost savings for our customers. So what all these results, for example, first time right, low acceptance test defects per KLOC, and able to deliver right on time or ahead, leads us to this amazing customer feedback. So at the end of a major increment, or at the end of the contract, or at the end of the year, we send the customer feedback forms to our customers to evaluate us on quality, value, and timeliness. And as you can see from 2013, please pay attention to the violet one. From 2013, almost over 90% of the times our customers have said that we have exceeded their expectations or needs. It's not even met. This is like we have exceeded 90% of the time. And especially for timeliness and value, we have exceeded expectations above 97% of the time, which is such an incredible result. And again, I want to point out that it is significant, and we have been measuring from 1996, and we have sustained it, this amazing result, for over so many years. So some of the key management practices for producing secure, defect-free software are, we staff projects with team members who are trained and are on-the-job mentored in estimating, planning, tracking, measuring and managing quality. That is very important. And it's very important that we start with a cohesive team which has a shared vision. They're not working in their own silo. They know what are the customer goals, what are ISHPI's goals, and they make disciplined commitments. And all this is with the assistance of a coach. And then there is this continuing support to the teams, be it from the project manager, program manager, or from the center of excellence. The teams are supported in collecting, analyzing, and reporting their size, effort, schedule, and quality data. And they continuously improve. And as we have seen throughout the presentation, everything is data driven. So using the data, they make decisions, and they also improve continuously through causal analysis and retrospectives. And also, this is kind of a little bit low level. We ensure that the team members conduct effective peer reviews, but peer reviews are very important to us, because that is the phase where we capture most of the defects. So we want to make sure that we are effective in that area. And another key aspect, this is again underlying factor, is we ensure that security is built in throughout the project.
I'd like to finish up today by sharing some key perspectives from doing this work over the last 30 years. We began our software process improvement journey back in 1992, and that continues today. And in the bottom line, it does not end. Over the years, we've benefited from top-down leadership, starting with our AIS founder, Girish Seshagiri, and continuing to the current ISHPI management team. We've also benefited from bottom-up involvement in defining, refining, and streamlining our practices. And overall this time, we've maintained a persistent focus on quality and security as drivers for performance improvements, being more predictable and more efficient, using data to understand our capabilities, and process improvement as an ongoing, never-ending activity. That seemingly simple plan, do, check, act improvement cycle, it's a powerful tool that can have extraordinary impact. I hope we've inspired you by showing that even a relatively small organization that's dedicated to excellence can achieve extraordinary results. We believe that the key to that has been to make sure that all of our efforts that we've described today are in support of our business objectives and in support of our priorities. I hope we've conveyed that the steps in our process are not extra. They're integrated into the way we do our day-to-day work, and they're an investment that pays dividends. They save time by reducing risk, by ensuring security, and ultimately pushing down costs. One thing that's been highlighted for us in recent years is that our organization, the AIS Division, consisting of individual team members, our software teams, and the software organization, we're part of an even larger ecosystem, and that's the ISHPI enterprise. And each of those levels influence each other, and they interact with one another. And we've learned that the capabilities of the overall ISHPI enterprise is what enables the best in the AIS division and its projects. And that's part of what's motivated some of our broader initiatives, such as obtaining multiple ISO certifications and our focus on CMMI for services. These are all complementary frameworks that have had benefits across the enterprise. Our implementation of Agile high-velocity development shows that organizations can incorporate ideas from a variety of frameworks and blend them. And those diverse inputs can be complementary one another. In fact, Watts Humphrey himself was a master at this. He drew upon so many ideas from diverse sources, such as from manufacturing and psychology and business, and he blended them into something more. And we hope we've done something similar in our own small way. Finally, Watts Humphrey showed us that we always need to keep learning, we need to keep sharing, we need to keep adapting, and most important of all, we need to keep improving. We'd like to thank Watts Humphrey, who was such a powerful example to all of us, the ISHPI management and corporate team for their ongoing support, to Girish Seshagiri, the founder of AIS, who was our guru, all members of the ISHPI AIS division whose projects, their data, and all of our results have enabled us to present this to you today. We thank the Software Engineering Institute and the IEEE Computer Society, especially Michelle, Ed, and today's SEI webcast team. I'd like to thank the Software Excellence Alliance and our CMMI lead appraisers, from whom we continue to learn so much. And Julia, thank you again for inviting us to present this webcast, and we'd be happy to take a few questions.
Sure. Okay, first question. HVD sounds very mature, combining a lot of software principles, standards, and practices. Someone may wonder if executing HVD is cost effective.
I think I can address that. In fact, I think I touched on it on one of our final slides. I think our customer results and our feedback from our customers confirm that we're on the right track. As I mentioned, yes, it's a mature process, but it really focuses on being very streamlined, and there are investments that are really focused on saving us time and being more productive.
Okay, another question. Have there been any changes, improvements from new tools and technologies that have had a significant impact on your quality processes?
Could you repeat the question one more time, Julia?
Have there been any changes, improvements, for example, from new tools and technologies that have had a significant impact on your quality processes? Like maybe static analysis or, have there been?
Sure. I'll make a comment and then I'll see if Barty wants to chime in. I guess what I would say is that probably there have been nothing but new tools and technologies over time. I think there's been an increased focus on, for example, in our test processes, there's been a lot of focus instead of manual testing, a strong movement toward test automation, and that's happened, in the last years. And even the tools that we're using internally, moving from homegrown tools to tools such as the process dashboard. Those are things that we're continuing to implement. So we've continued to look to industry and our own innovations to adapt all of those new tools and technologies.
Yeah, in addition, I want to mention that some of the projects are using CI/CD, and that also makes their delivery process a little bit more efficient. Of course, the challenges are the different development environments we have to work with. Sometimes we don't have the luxury to use our tools. So that is a challenge that we have to face every time we get a new contract. But as Steve mentioned, automated testing and the CI/CD tools are some of the things that improves our time to deliver a solution.
Okay, another question. It takes a lot of energy and focus to achieve a certification, for example, CMMI level 5. How do you maintain that focus and energy once you achieve that milestone? So how do you sustain that focus and energy?
So it boils down to our business objectives. For example, our business objectives were to be the best in terms of quality and to be secure. So we chose CMMI as the framework to achieve those results. So for us, it is not the fact of maintaining CMMI because we have to maintain CMMI. We have to maintain CMMI because we want to achieve our business objectives. And another thing is continuously we have to look at our processes to see how we can improve, how we can optimize. So the buck doesn't stop when you just achieve the certification, but how we can continuously be lean and how we can merge it with other processes to make sure that we don't have replicas of the same process going on. So it boils down to what is your business objective and what do you need to achieve that business objective. You can achieve it with ISO 9001 probably. You may not want, you need not do the entire CMMI level 5. So it all depends on how much you need to do based on your business objectives.
Okay, last question. How do you approach training your staff in all these practices?
What I can say there is in the past, we've delivered formal training to our team members. We still have all those resources to draw upon, as Barty mentioned to you. But increasingly, we found that we focused on coaching and mentoring and just-in-time on-the-job training. And we draw upon the formal course materials and that content as needed, sometimes only subsets of it, in order to focus on the task at hand.
Yes, we realized that it was more effective if we give it just in time rather than as soon as they join the project, like dumping them with all the information and 2 weeks just keeping them on training. It worked better for us to give that training as and when the need arises.
Great, thank you. All right, well, Barty, Stephen, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. You know, your organization has been able to collect data and sustain this performance over the last 30 years, and it's really a remarkable achievement. So I'm so proud that you won this award this year. If you want more information, The company technical report is available from the SEI Digital Library, and there's a link in the YouTube chat window to that report. Nominations are open for the 2024 Watts Humphrey Quality Award. So if you know a deserving individual, team, or organization, consider nominating them. So it is open not just to organizations, but also individuals and teams as well. And they are allowed to do self-nominations. There is a link also in that chat window that will give you more information about the award. And the deadline for the 2024 award is August 31st. So all nominations have to be in by September 1st. So I want to thank everybody for attending today. And as you leave, please hit the like button below the video window and share the archive if you found the webinar today valuable. Also, you can subscribe to the SEI YouTube channel by clicking the SEI seal in the lower right corner of the video window. The next webinar is going to be on July 28th, and it's titled, Will Rust Solve Software Security? And it will be presented by David Sabota and Joe Seibel. Registration information is already available on the SEI website and will be emailed out as well. If you have any questions remaining about today's event, feel free to email info@sei.cmu.edu. Thank you for your participation.